Hi thinkers, welcome to the Data Structures in Java course on ThinkX Academy. In the previous module 2.0 we have already discussed about the arrays and the concept is now clear to us, and now we are going to write a very simple program to reverse the contents of the array. So basically we are going to write a program that makes use of arrays and indexing, and we will make some traversals inside the array, and we are also going to reverse the contents of the array. So we are going to do that in Java programming. So let's start with the program here. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to create a class with the same name as the class of my file, and inside of this class I'm going to create a static method like this, and here I'm going to write that this is actually a main function. So here I'm going to create a main function here, and inside this I'm going to write the console line arguments, which is string args, and here we are going to do the main stuff. So here the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define an array. So the way to do is very simple. Just write int array arr, and here I'm going to write the contents inside of this array. So let's write any random values inside of this array. Alright, so this is how we create an array, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you how we can access any particular element inside this array using indexing. So if I write here array1, I will be able to get this value at the first position, which is 45. So we know that array indexing starts from 0. So let's try to compile this program using the command java, and the name of the file is reversearr.java. And if I run this, you can see in the output it is showing that the answer is 45, right? So this is how we can access a particular element. Now let's move on to the another important part, which is to how to do the traversal inside of an array. So let's create a for loop very quickly here, and inside this I will create a variable int I equals 0, and I should be less than arr.length. So basically arr.length is actually a property which gives the value of which is the number which represents the length of the array. So here the length of the array in our case is 5, so this will give 5. So this for loop will run from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we already know that the indexing starts from 0, so that's why we are starting from 0 here. And at this point I'm just going to increment the value of I, so I'm going to write I++ here. And now what I'm going to do is I want to actually display the contents of the array, so I'm going to use sysout and arr ith position, and I will quickly save this. And now let's run this again here in the terminal. I'm just going to write java reversearr.java. So 10, 45, 23, 56, 5 are the contents of this array. So this is how we can actually do a traversal. So let's see how we can do a reverse traversal. How can we traverse in the backward direction? So what I wish is I want to actually display 5, then 10, then 56, then 23, then 45, then 10, right? So in order to do that, we just need to make some amendments in this, just some basic updations in this for loop. So since we want to start from the last position, we want to display from the last position. The last position is actually array.length -1. Because indexing starts from 0, you need to take care of this concept very seriously, because if you don't do that, this for loop will not work, right? So array starts from 0, so it will end at the length of array -1, and we want that the value of I should be always greater than 0, and we will keep decrementing the value of I by 1. So in this value, you can see that we will display this. So if I run this quickly here in the terminal, you can see that we can get the contents of this array, which is 5, 56, 23, 45, and 10. So this is how we can actually print the contents of the array in the reverse order. Now the question is to write a program to reverse an array. So what we wish to do is we wish to reverse the array. We will have to write another array to update the contents of this array. So for that, we actually know that we can actually create a temporary array here. So the idea is very simple. We are going to create a temporary array. So let's create a temporary array. Int temp equals to new int, and this temporary array actually holds all the number of elements will be the same as the array. So I'm going to write here arr.length. So this array will hold the same number of elements, which is 5 here, and they will be in reverse order. So the thing is, how can we do that? The answer to that is very simple. We will keep updating the positions of temp from 0 to 4, and we will access the array elements from the reverse order, right? So I will write that the value of temp here, the value of temp 0, I want to update it to ARR, which is the array, and 4th position, right? So this is what I actually want to do. I want to assign the 0th position of this temporary array as the value which is at the last, and I will keep doing this, right? I will then write another one which is actually temp of 1 equals to ARR of 3, right? So I want to keep doing this until and unless the whole array in the reverse order is stored in this temporary array. So I'm going to remove these two lines, and let's see how we can logically do that. So the logic is very simple. Just write temp, and since we want to start from 0, the simple trick is just use array.length -1 minus I here. Now what it does is it will you can see that initially the array length -1 will be 4 in our case. So 4 minus I is already array length -1, so it will be 0. So 4 minus 4 is actually 0 here, and since the value of I keeps decrementing, this value of ARR length will keep incrementing by 1, and you can observe that it will happen because the ARR length -1 will remain fixed, which is 4. So this value right here, which is array of length -1, it will remain fixed, which is 4, and since I will decrement by 1, it will actually go from 0 till 4, right? And at each and every time we just want to assign it the value at the ith position, which is from the reverse order. And now what I'm simply going to do is sys out, and I'm going to show you the contents of this array by just writing temp ith position, right? So I can do that, or I can just write ARR dot length -1 minus I, because we want to display the contents of the array temporary from 0th position. So it should be like this, right? So let's save this one and let's try to run this program and see if there are any errors. So here you can see that it is displaying in the reverse order. So we are displaying actually the contents of the array which starts from 0 till 4. Now what we can do is we can actually take the contents of this temporary array and overwrite it with the contents of the array here, right? So it's very simple. We will again write a for loop, and what I now wish to do is I want to assign the array of jth position should be equal to temporary of ith of jth position, right? This is the simple logic that I want to do. Now here it will throw an error because this temporary array is actually in the scope of this for loop only, so you will not be able to access it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually copy this whole line. So you can see here I have just pasted this line here, and the reason why I'm doing that is I want to access this temporary array here also in this for loop also, right? So once this is done, now we can just write here that we want to display the contents of the array of ith position. It should be j here, not I. Alright, so you can see here it goes in the reverse order. So now we have successfully changed the contents of the array in the reverse order. So that's all for this tutorial. Thanks for watching.